This week, Ben Siegel from CyberNest is with us to discuss building a knowledge-sharing community from the ground up. Then Aaron Costello from App Omni joins us to talk about the crazy world of SaaS misconfigurations. Finally, in the enterprise security news, Eon, Resolve AI, and Harmonic and more raise funding. Dragos acquires Network Perception. Prevalent acquires Miratech. The latest DFIR reports. A spicy security product review. Secure by whatever. New threats, hot takes, all that and more in this episode of Enterprise Security Weekly.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
It's the show where we talk security vendors and aren't afraid to name names. It's Enterprise Security Weekly. Digital threats evolve rapidly, making it difficult for security teams to keep pace. Tying security automation and orchestration is different from traditional SOAR. It allows teams to move faster and make better decisions in real time. With Tynes, analysts and engineers have everything they need to automate the processes they're closest to, regardless of complexity. Built by security practitioners for security practitioners, Tynes powers mission-critical security workflows at McKesson, Canva, and Mars. Start building for free at securityweekly.com/Tynes. If your organization is ready to enhance cyber resilience, we have important insights for you. The 2024 Level Blue Futures Report sheds light on how rapid computing changes affect IT visibility. Our research reveals that while IT leaders see positive outcomes, 85% acknowledge increased risk. In this report, we identify the barriers to cyber resilience, the challenges impacting cybersecurity, and the business contexts that reveal operational issues. You'll also discover what's on the horizon and 5 essential steps for prioritizing cyber resilience. Get your complimentary copy of this crucial research today. Visit securityweekly.com/levelblue. Cybersecurity simplified. Welcome to Enterprise Security Weekly and happy National Moldy Cheese Day. This is episode 379, recorded a bit early on Wednesday, but will probably release on Thursday, October 10th, 2024. I'm your host, Adrian Sanabria. Today's topic is building a cyber community for knowledge sharing. We're excited to have Ben Siegel, founder and chief community officer from CyberNest, with us today. Welcome, Ben.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. It's a pleasure to be here. I wish I chose a day where it wasn't Moldy Cheese Day, but it was Fresh Cheese Day. But hey,
sorry, dude.
You take what you get, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't overthink it too much when I'm looking for whatever ridiculous national or international day it is, and yeah, that one was too good not to use, so it had to be Moldy Cheese Day today. I'm sorry.
Perfect. I love it. Let's be different today.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, like I get it, but yeah, I definitely do not go out of my way to have moldy cheeses as much as I do like cheese. All right, so yeah, CyberNest. I think for people who don't know what it is, I didn't really get it into it in your bio on purpose because I'd rather hear it from you. But maybe just elevator pitch me on CyberNest on what it is. What
Perfect.
You're trying to do.
Well, I'd love to. So quick intro, Ben Siegel, I'm the founder and chief community officer of CyberNest. CyberNest is a research and knowledge sharing platform powered by a vetted community of IT and security professionals. What we do, we essentially have 2 editions of our platform. The first edition is a community edition, where essentially security leaders can get access to trusted resources validated by their peers. It's really purposeful, the validation. Where ultimately the things that they find in our platform have been shared by other members. So these are reports, frameworks, toolkits, things that ultimately help them build their security program. We allow members to rate and review the information. So actually members are sharing what they learned. Do they agree or disagree with the ideas presented? A lot of content is being surfaced in the industry, but how do you know what's trustworthy? How do you know what's relevant? We take a community approach, sort of a collective knowledge approach to validating the information. And it's an opportunity for members to grow their networks, share best practices, build their social profile so that ultimately, as they grow in their careers, they can actually stand behind a platform that kind of is almost like a resume of their knowledge, resume of the things that they find valuable in the industry. And we're really happy to be at the forefront of helping them do that.
Yeah, and I think this is just a sign of the maturity of the industry, right? Like we recognize there's all these OGs and people with tons of wisdom and knowledge, but maybe nowhere to share it. Like maybe it used to be on Twitter, but then they deleted all their tweets and deleted their account, and it's just kind of lost forever. And this is something I'm just noticing about the internet in general. Like it's easy to lose knowledge. Like I often go back and as I'm researching topics or for an interview or for whatever, I come across these old blog posts. And almost without fail, if the blog post is 10 years old or older, anything it linked to or embedded tweets or anything like it's all gone. Like none of the links work anymore. Like thank goodness for the Wayback Machine, for the Internet Archive, or like we, there'd be so much just completely lost.
Totally. I think the other challenge is there's not one way to do security, right? There's not like one
Yeah.
textbook where everyone can just adopt and say this is
Perspective.
how it's done. And so because of that, it essentially puts a lot of onus and pressure on security leaders to figure out, okay, how do we build our programs for this type of company, for this type of infrastructure and things like that? And the best source of information, we believe truly, is from those who are in the trenches doing it every day. They're the ones who are navigating the same problems, looking at the same solutions. What we found is that ultimately it's really hard to connect or facilitate that knowledge sharing. We talk a lot about how the bad guys are sharing and the good guys need to share, but the systems in place, the processes, the governance in place isn't really institutionalized so that this type of knowledge sharing can happen. And there's a few really good use cases with the ISECs and things like that, but across the board, it feels like an individual experience. I need to go out and find the information relevant to me across multiple sources. Access to information is it's just overwhelming at this point. There's so much information out there. So how do you validate it? How do you know it's relevant to you? Especially when, and this isn't a security problem, this is just like a consumer problem, is attention is the constraint. So if you have limited time and there's only so much that you can access or learn at the point of time, you want to make sure that it's really relevant to you and it's actually valuable. And that's what we're really excited about, is using the power of community, the power of membership, of other security leaders doing the same job to essentially facilitate that through a digital platform like the CyberNest.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's interesting. I think Twitter used to be the place where a lot of that happened, either Twitter or, in the before times, before everybody scattered to the, four corners of the earth, and some just retired from there completely, but, a lot of this is hallway con, like what you're building here at a conference, conversations that you would have at a conference. But yeah, I think it's important, that the stuff can be, that sharing it is easy, but also trust, I think, is a big piece of this as well. So I like that you have the rating system built into there also. I think that's kind of critical. Otherwise, like a bunch of sales bros show up and just start promoting their products, right?
Yep, and nothing against the sales bros, of course, but at the end of the day, you have to kind of create a vetted community, and I think LinkedIn has become, yes, you have to accept or decline connections, but ultimately, it's become more of a, hey, how big can my network be, and how does it serve me? Whether that's helping me find a job or sharing relevant information or seeing what my peers are doing. I think LinkedIn is a great platform and a great format. The challenge is it's too open, and it's also really kind of personal brand building, like, a lot of personal posts, opinion-based things, not so much content driven or sort of best practices driven. And so we're really focusing solely on the content. How do we facilitate knowledge sharing through a vetted community? So that means you have to apply to be a member. You have to be an internal security professional, mid-sized, large enterprise to be approved. No sales, no marketing, no investors, just for competing interests. We're trying to remove all of the potential biases or things that typically make information sharing a challenge kind of in the open format like it's been traditionally.
And just a quick point for listeners that I just experienced myself. It is thecybernest.com, not cybernest.com.
The
Different
cyber, yeah,
companies.
yes, different company. It is and in the future we'll drop the like your traditional, hopefully exciting kind of Facebook story, right? Where just go Facebook instead of the Facebook.
The Facebook, yeah. So pretty straightforward to join. Anybody can join. Free to join. How's that work?
Yes. So our community edition is free to join. Essentially, you apply to be a member. We verify everyone's application. So we look at credentials and things like that. As I mentioned, you have to be an internal security professional, mid-sized or large enterprise, or you can do part-time or full-time consulting so long as you held those roles in the future. And if you meet that criteria, we will accept you. You have to apply. It takes about 5 minutes. And essentially, you'll have full access to really the community platform where you can get curated content. You can access other members' reviews and ratings. You can upload your own content. That's a big part of the platform is actually the information being shared is by the members. It's really purposeful in that way. So that means that, we're not being paid to distribute content or anything like that. We don't sell user information. We don't do sponsorships or lead gen. The way that we monetize is we have a premium subscription for a security team who wants to get more out of the platform. So think of like the community edition, like a private instance to the individual separate from the company. And but if you want additional features like premium intelligence, more collaboration features, like a workspace, being able to tag members, activity feeds, also access to subject matter experts is part of our model. So if the content isn't meeting the needs in the platform and you have a specific
Yeah.
project or you're looking to navigate.
Sometimes you need to have a conversation, right?
Exactly. From someone who ultimately has done it, seen it, and can replicate it. And the trust center, again, is incredibly high because these are folks who are not consultants, not analysts. These are practitioners doing the job, but ultimately want to share their knowledge and ultimately be compensated for that. So it's a little bit more of a paid information sharing model that we feel very strongly is needed in the industry because it removes biases, makes it truly unbiased, and the incentives align. And I think that's been the biggest issue is incentives, getting people to share why you would share, what's the benefit of sharing, sometimes isn't the right fit. This kind of, if you share, or I'll help, I'll help you, you help me. It definitely happens, and it's probably the go-to format. But we feel strongly that if it's institutionalized, there's confidentiality agreements in place, there's governance in place that you feel comfortable sharing, and ultimately the person on the end of the phone is only incentivized to share honest feedback or honest advisory because they're compensated for their time, then it's really the best recipe for success to do this at scale.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so what is that? What do those engagements look like? If in the paid model, you're have some kind of advisory with a subject matter expert. What does that look like? Is that like a Zoom call? Is it people going on prem? Like what are the different options there?
Yeah, so we call them Ask an Expert call. I think that's kind of a more common term, a way to describe it. It's a virtual engagement, 60 minutes. We essentially partner with companies to understand what are the active projects that they're working on, or more specifically, what are the topical areas or continual learning that senior leaders want to invest in their team's development. And we could actually bring in experts to give more thought leadership talks or more really tactical talks. So it doesn't have to be tied to a project. It could be more for learning and development, or we're actually bringing the expert in and your team has access to not just learn, but ask questions and make it personalized to their team and their specific needs and use cases and things like that. On the flip side, from the project standpoint, we've seen things like IAM redesigns, a client trying to figure out compliance in China, even to more shadowing and team upskilling. So I want to bring in a product security engineer with 10 plus years experience for my AppSec team to really give them an opportunity to talk about, risk scoring and profiling and how others are doing it in different organizations and how we can maybe think differently about the way we approach it. So it's kind of three buckets, what we call project-based. Second is more upskilling. And third is tool selection. So I'm looking for an expert who has evaluated this tool or implemented this tool. And I want to understand the after purchase experience, if this is right for our use case, because obviously purchases, while maybe not as frequent, they're still high ticket. And so making sure that you're making the right decision and getting the validation you need is going to save the organization a lot of time and money in the case that it's not the right fit.
Yeah. How long have you been doing it, and how's it going so far? How is growth going? With the network and everything.
Yeah, so we've been doing it about 2 years. We have over 600 security leaders, growing about 20% month over month. It's traditionally been growing through organic referrals, and security leaders join and they add members of their team. So we're not only CISO focused. I probably should mention that. We have security engineers, security architects in the platform. They're actually some of our power users because they're the ones who are really specifically looking at technical threat reports, or they have more projects that they own and they want to kind of upskill and stay continually learning. On the paid side, we launched that product about 3 months ago, and we have early development partners. We're actively demoing that product. We have 70 plus experts in the network and growing. So clients now have access to 70 plus experts, and they actually come from the community, Adrian. So this is sort of a program that we've opened up to members where they can essentially get paid for research and advisory projects. It's invite only right now. We're going to select members that we feel like are a really good fit for this type of program. And also it's not just a good fit from a research standpoint, but a good fit for them specifically, because we want engaged experts that really have unique domain knowledge, really unique experiences. So we're vetting these experts as we bring them on, and we're very much still focused on putting this in the hands of more security teams as we move into the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's it's something I do have some experience with, that I think is just invaluable, is to have some kind of it's almost like a customer advisory board for a security team, right? It's almost like your own personal kind of reality check or sanity check for things that you want to do, which I think every security team needs, particularly security leaders, who oftentimes don't have people to talk to. Like you can't publicly talk about a lot of the problems that you have. So some of it that I've done borders on therapy sessions for some folks. They just they need to release some steam and just make sure they're not crazy. They're not the only ones dealing with a particular problem. But I wonder, there's so many places you could take this. You must have just tons of ideas listed out as you grow this thing. So I'm kind of curious if there's anything on your roadmap that you'd be willing to share with us. You could do training, you could do virtual conferences, webcasts, a bunch of stuff you could do here. And I'm curious about what you're excited about in the future and what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I think for us, focus is probably the most important thing, and obviously the hardest thing. We're a 12-person team now. We've raised money for the business, so we're not owned by another entity. And so because of that, it puts a lot of onus on us to make sure that we're focused in the right areas and making sure, that, clients are happy and we're investing in our roadmap and things like that. I would say we're more excited about this idea of powering the security knowledge economy. It's something that we talk about a lot as a team, is opening up avenues for security leaders to share their knowledge and ultimately get paid, but more importantly, make an impact in the industry. Impact specifically could be, hey, I want to talk to other security teams and share what I know. I think to your point, what's missing is the practical experience. I want to go to someone who has the answer or can actually provide a different alternative thought. It might not be because we don't know the answer or we don't have capable people. That's not what it is. It's the fact that, we're making decisions internally and we want to validate those decisions with a trusted resource like other practitioners. And folks are doing this. They have personal networks and, we're not recreating the wheel here, but we're extending really the access of security leaders to a team who ultimately, doesn't have the time to find someone who has the answer, doesn't have the time to build a community or a network, either on an individual basis or a team-wide basis. And so we power that for them, handling scheduling, payment, compliance, and that's really the value to them as a third party. But for us, from a roadmap standpoint, there's one thing that we're really excited about, which is experts not just want to talk to security teams, but they actually want to talk to security vendors. And the way that they want to talk to vendors is really more around research-based engagement. So these are not sales calls. These are not, conversion calls. No security leader really wants to be sold to, but what they do want to do is share their feedback. They want to help the vendor understand where their tool fits in, in the context of the organization, who owns it. They want to understand their brand perception in the marketplace. They want to understand their product roadmap and what features and functionality they should be building. Because ultimately, if security leaders help vendors build better products and services, then ultimately, it's that perfect connection between we're all on the same page around how do we protect our organizations. And we can't do it without vendors, but I think it's how you engage a vendor is what we're seeing is really unique, is around these research-based engagements. And so we're actually, we have early clients for that product, but ultimately we're going to be publicly launching what's called CyberSynapse pretty soon here, and opening this up to more vendors who want to engage in research-based activities with members of the community of CyberNest, but also experts in the network.
Yeah, so I mentioned customer advisory board. So yeah, more literally, you are doing that. Yeah, that was more of a metaphor for the security team that needs outside advice and counsel. But yeah, this is having been on both sides, and more recently been on the vendor side. I think it's something that's really easy to lose sight on. Like a lot of times, the only the only input they're getting are from the prospect calls. Like maybe they're not the right prospects, maybe their ICP is wrong, and they really need kind of a bigger picture, bigger view on this stuff. And yeah, it's a frustration from the customer side too, the buyer side too, that I've heard where like they need the tool to succeed because they don't want to have to build it themselves, and they're not happy with where it is right now, but anything they feel like kind of falls on deaf ears. So I think it'll be interesting to see what vendors engage with this kind of stuff, and I expect it will be a certain kind of vendor, and the ones that people probably already associate with making better tools in the first place. Those are the ones I think will seek out this kind of thing.
I couldn't agree. I think there needs to be a shift, at least from a vendor perspective, in the clients that we're working with and talking to, that really look at, seeking to understand and actually, more importantly, realizing that all of their growth challenges, all of their problems on the product side, on marketing, on sales, have some gap in the voice of the customer. They don't know something that they should add, in aggregate, at a statistical relevance to them, in order for them to either change their marketing, change their product, change the way they actually approach the marketplace. And so by bringing security leaders to the table to share that insight, share that voice of the customer data and insight, those are the things that really oftentimes are missing. A lot of product teams are just like, hey, I think we should build this, or did we really test it? Did we talk to enough customers about it, or perspective? And that's the other thing we're hearing is a lot of vendors are kind of scared, Adrian, to go to their customers. They don't kind of want to open up too much of Pandora's box and bring them too included into some of the decisions they're making, or ultimately, where the company may be struggling. And so, looking at every opportunity as a sales opportunity actually is very short-sighted. It should be looking at every opportunity to engage a security leader as, hey, how do we better understand what you're going through? How do we better align our product and service to better support you and the team? Versus, okay, do you like our product or not? And is this a real opportunity after you see it?
Yeah, one of the things, so a couple of things I want to comment on with that. One of the things I've noticed, well, so first of all, being on the vendor side, it kind of shocked me how many product marketing folks don't really have a background in cybersecurity, or their only cybersecurity experience is being on the vendor side. So they like truly don't have that grounding or that foundation in what it's like to do those kinds of jobs, or what kind of day-to-day problems they have. But also, I notice in a lot of cases, one of the tough things is that there's a lot of critical things in security. In some ways, everything's critical, right? So like you might get positive feedback, like, yes, this is very important to us, but the kind of unsaid portion is, but it's 33rd on the list and we only have time to do a dozen things. So there's so many like critical things that are, that fall off that kind of top 10 list that is all you have budget and time for.
Totally. And I think one of the things that I've kind of, as we talk to vendors and things like that, who, we're working with or kind of learning about, CyberNest and the way that we operate is, are you willing to ask, is your baby ugly? And, that's kind of a scary kind of proposition, but, we eat our own dog food. So, a lot of our members know this. In every interaction I have with them, I'm asking those questions. Is the product meeting your needs? Is there things you hate about the product? How do we make this more part of your day, your week? Because ultimately, we need to know that information now. In order to build something truly valuable and aligned, we have to ask the right questions. We have to not be afraid of the answer. Because if we're afraid of the answer, then ultimately, we might continue to grow and things might be working, but at some point it's gonna slow, it's gonna stop, and it's because we were missing critical insight, critical value steps that we didn't really confirm or ask or seek to understand how we can improve upon it. So I would hope that vendors, who are listening, who essentially, don't be afraid essentially to ask, prospective clients or security leaders how they can improve their product and things like that. I think that's a big opportunity for the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, Ben. So again, where can people go to sign up for the CyberNest side of things, and then also was it CyberSynapse?
Yeah, CyberSynapse. So CyberSynapse will be publicly launching soon for security leaders who are listening. You can go to our website, thecybernest.com, or find us, The CyberNest, on LinkedIn. And essentially, you apply to be a member on our website. It takes about 5 minutes to complete. We ask questions like, what are your domain areas of interest? What types of content are you interested? Largely because we curate, relevant content, security resources based on those interests. And if you're an internal security professional and meet the admission criteria, then we'll get you approved. We'd love to welcome you. And for those who are interested in CyberSynapse, stay tuned.
Yeah, and thank you, Ben, for joining us on Enterprise Security Weekly today.
And thank you so much for the time together.
All right. Stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to talk SaaS misconfigurations with Aaron Costello from App Omni.